Have you heard the old adage, you should never discuss politics and religion in polite company? That's a lie. Hi everyone, Matt Brower with the Montana Catholic Conference. I imagine many of us have heard someone say, you really shouldn't talk about politics or religion. And the reason is they want to avoid a conflict, some combative disagreement. And while that can be the right way to handle things in certain situations, say when you're attending a wedding or a funeral, I think as a general rule, it's a really poor approach. Talking about religion and politics is important and necessary. G.K. Chesterton, the English writer and Christian apologist, once wrote, "I never discuss anything else except politics and religion. There is nothing else to discuss. Nothing of importance can be separated entirely from its social effect, which is politics, or from its ultimate value, which is religion." So why is conversation around these topics considered off limits in polite company? I think the concern revolves primarily around how we engage with others, as opposed to the content or basis of our disagreements. But avoiding conflict altogether is the wrong approach. Engagement is necessary. But if we don't get the how of dialogue correct, we'll never get to the what, or we will do so in a manner that is at best ineffective. I don't think our social media culture has done us any favors in this regard. We're constantly seeing people online who are more interested in shaming or bullying other people than they are in engaging in constructive conversation. But we live within this culture, and so it's important for us to reflect on our own lives and ask ourselves, when we're engaged in discourse with people who hold positions other than our own, do we approach those others as adversaries? Or is it more along the lines of what Professor Robert George of Princeton has called partners in truth-seeking? I know in my own work, one of the most important things I do is engage with people who disagree with me, who disagree with the church, often on serious issues. And I recognize within myself a tendency to not always listen well. So while someone's sharing their perspective on an issue, instead of focusing on what they're saying, I sometimes find that what I'm actually doing is formulating my response. I'm not speaking over them, but I am thinking over them. If we're going to truly be partners in truth-seeking, then we should want to know that other person, what they believe in, and why. That requires listening well. St. Pope Paul VI, in his encyclical Ecclesiam Suam, highlighted 4 characteristics of true dialogue. First, what is said must be intelligible. Next, charity must be at the heart of the conversation. Additionally, authentic dialogue requires confidence. Confidence in ourselves, those with whom we engage in discourse, in the process itself, and in the Holy Spirit's presence in our efforts to work together for the common good. Lastly, true dialogue requires that we know and be mindful of the sensitivities of others. Now, with civil discourse, there are bad examples all around us. I mentioned social media, certainly some of our politicians and lawmakers, some of our political commentators, the broader media, even people within our own church sometimes. Our challenge as Catholics, as Christians, is to model a better way of engaging in public discourse. And so we look for an example. And who do we look to for that example? We look to Jesus Christ, our example in all things. What's the example that Jesus gives us? It's an example of humility, of mercy and forgiveness, of love and hope and justice. Following that example means our actions reflect the best of who we are. It means that when we're engaged in a conversation or disagreement, we recognize that in that other person, we are encountering Christ. It means that our interactions, especially with those with whom we disagree, must be marked by humility. It means that being partners in truth-seeking, we understand that we're truly seeking Jesus Christ, who is truth itself. It means in our disagreements, the way we engage is often just as important as the actual content of our conversations. It does no good to win an argument but lose the person. When we fail to live up to this example, and I think we all do from time to time, we can fall prey to two dangerous temptations. One is we can fall into echo chambers where we simply hear what we already believe. We're affirmed in our point of view and never really challenged in a constructive way. There's no growth and there's no humility. Here we can fall into destructive ideologies. That can then give rise to this toxic cancel culture that we see all around us. And that's a toxic culture that we don't want to participate in. On the other hand, another, perhaps even more dangerous temptation, especially in the area of politics, is to slide into a hopeless indifference, a feeling of defeat. Not in the sense that my side is losing politically, but defeat in the sense that I begin to believe that what I personally do or don't do to build a healthy society, especially in the realm of politics, doesn't matter because I can't really make a difference. And if I can't really make a difference, how important can this be? This indifference can grow and eventually bring us to the point of refusing to make judgments about justice or mercy, good and evil. Why stand for anything? Those are dangerous temptations. So I think it's important for us to remind ourselves that there is no civility in society, no civility in our public discourse without love of neighbor and a true appreciation for our interconnectedness. Our lives are bound together. So I urge us to resolve this election season and beyond to be partners in truth-seeking so that our civil discourse and political engagement can reflect the best of who we are. One other point. At times this can seem very overwhelming. Remember, it doesn't all depend on you. What we're called to do is seek and speak the truth in love. God will provide the rest. So the next time you find yourself in a position where you can share your beliefs, your opinion on a significant social issue, be courageous and do so. Do so with confidence and humility. View it as an opportunity to allow God to work through you in that encounter. It might put you out of your comfort zone, but I think it's important that we engage in this way. The world needs our voice now more so than ever. Thank you for watching this video. This is the first in a series of videos we are releasing dealing with various issues related to faithful citizenship and voting, so I hope you'll join us next time.